Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Capital G here with a rare nighttime recording session coming from Kelowna, of course. And bringing back an old favorite of ours, Shu Yun, the Silent Tempest. This was the first EDH deck tech I've done for the channel. I was doing an older format similar to what Brian does on Cure for the Common Game, where he kind of has the cards stacked in place and just shows one at a time. And, well, I like this format a little bit better. It's a bit clearer what we want to do, so I figured not only update the format, but the deck list as well. This is a deck I still play. And, well, let's start by explaining who Shu Yun is and the evolution of Shu Yun over the past 3 years, shall we say. So we got ourselves a 3/2 human monk for just a blue and 2 generic mana. Has prowess, so anytime you cast a non-creature spell, Shu Yun will get +1/+1 until the end of turn. All sweet and all. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may pay Burrows, so your choice of red or white in any combination. And if you do, target creature gains double strike until end of turn. So, I remember back in the day, Shu Yun comes out in Fate Reforged, and a lot of people dismissed him pretty quickly because there were a lot of other aggressive commanders, Voltron-style commanders, that were a little less awkward than Shu Yun. Some people found the Burrows payment anytime you wanted to give Shu Yun double strike awkward. But you know what? As time's gone by, he is known as the One Punch Man. He's developed a reputation. He's earned his reputation over the years. And that awkward cost has really proven not to be a factor. It makes for a deck building challenge, of course, but when you look at a lot of contemporaries back from 2015, Shu Yun is one of the ones that stand tall. So let's have a closer look at the deck list itself and see what he's got, at least what my version has got. Obviously, a lot has changed since my original build. My original deck list was from 2017, so lots has changed. We did not have an Arcane Signet at the time, a much better rock. This version, of course, has better mana rocks, better mana fixing than the old version. It's got fewer creatures and more tricks. And I did not have a deck list for the original video, and I didn't really care to write down all the cards. So I decided to show you the new deck list here. If anyone is curious about the old deck list, they're more than welcome to go back. Quality is not so great, I do admit. But then again, quality is not exactly what we come to this channel for. You're coming here for ideas and perhaps some good laughs too. So let us go with our artifact package. We have a significant artifact package here. Artifacts are super easy to get our prowess triggers off of, and of course Shu Yun does like a couple of pieces of equipment, such as Bone Splitter, just an easy +2/+0 for a very low mana investment. The Burrows Signet, much like the last time I did this deck list, Burrows Signet is still the only Signet I choose to run. Burrows Signet lets us pay any 1 mana to give us red and white, which is perfect for his activation. The other Signets I find are a little too awkward to work around, which is why I only play the Burrows Signet. Champion's Helm, another great piece of equipment. As long as the equipped creature is legendary, which Shu Yun is, it has hexproof, also +2/+2, and the equip cost is only a single mana. Cold Steel Heart, a great way to choose whatever color mana that I'm missing. Comes in a battlefield tapped, but that's alright. Once it untaps, it gives us whatever fixing we need. The Isochron Scepter, obviously we play with a lot of inexpensive instants, so this is a great way to reuse it. So once we take out opponent 1, we can still use whatever is imprinted on this to go after our remaining opponents. Key to the City is actually one of the new additions. Even though this card was already out at the time, I did not have a copy for my deck. I've since gotten one because this is actually a very cheap card to pick up, and it is so good. Tap, discard a card, and up to 1 target creature, Shu Yun specifically, cannot be blocked this turn. Whenever Key to the City becomes untapped, you may 2 mana to draw a card. It's the fact that this grants unblockability so easily, not only to Shu Yun, but to our opponent's creatures as well when needed. Layering Emblem. This is sort of a super prowess here, we say. We throw it onto Shu Yun, and anytime we play any spell, equipped creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Mishra's Babel. I like it because it's a 0-cost prowess trigger, and it gives us a slow draw for no mana. Oh, Naginata, I did not have in the original list, but this card actually dates back to the just got reprinted in Double Masters. Goes back to Kamigawa, of course. Can only be attached to a a creature of power 3 or greater, but Shu Yun off the hop is. An equipped creature gets +3/0 and has trample, so super powerful piece of equipment for our commander. Shadow Sphere, also an excellent piece of equipment. +1/+1 trample and lifelink. Double strike is good. Double strike plus trample equals the awesome. Also, being able to have permanents our opponents control lose hexproof and indestructible. Nice little piece of utility. The Sol Ring, of course, to wrap us up. Sunforger, that powerful +4/+0, and being able to go get any red or white instant card with converted mana cost 4 or less from our library and cast it for free. So the equip cost is kind of high, but it's totally worth it to have that tutoring effect. Swift Foot Boots is here to give our commander hexproof and haste. We are not running Lightning Greaves because we want to target Shu Yun ourselves. Shu Yun's double strike ability is a targeted ability, and he can target himself with it, and we want him to do so. Running all of the talismans, Talisman of Conviction, Creativity, and Progress. All 3 are very handy in our deck. The Traveler's Amulet helps us go get one of our basics, and the Wayfarer's Bauble, same deal. Creatures, we are down to 4 other creatures. I was running maybe 8 at the time, including there was a really cool dragon that we were running. I forget the name of it off the top, but really these are the 4 creatures we want to run, including Feather the Redeemed. I've already done a deck tech on Feather the Redeemed, but it turns out Feather slots into Shu Yun very nicely. Narset, Enlightened Master, survives from the original deck list as sort of our plan B creature. Being able to swing and cast a bunch of non-creature spells that pump her up. Turns out that's really good. It's a really good plan B. As is Talrand the Sky Summoner, being able to give us some Drakes which can help us block, or even swing in if we want to go wide. And the Tribute Mage lets us go get an artifact of converted mana cost 2. Many of our rocks cost 2 mana, as does our Key to the City. Key to the City is the primary target for Tribute Mage. Moving on to enchantments, a lot of these enchantments will give our commander a buff when we cast it, buff as long as it sits on our commander, as well as some sort of cool ability. In this case, we're going to go with Cartouche of Knowledge, which draws us a card and gives Shu Yun +1/+1 and flying. Footfall Crater coming in from Ikoria. Super excited for this line, being able to basically tap the enchanted land to give a creature trample and haste until end of turn. Doesn't have to be Shu Yun, it can be another player's creature, so we get some politics as well out of this. And we can cycle it away if it's really not what we need that second. Gift of Immortality, again, survives from the original list. Great way to protect Shu Yun. If Shu Yun ever dies, he'll come back into play under our control, and should he not die a second time, then the Gift of Immortality will re-enchant him and keep him protected. Grasp of the Hieromancer. Another great way to buff up Shu Yun and take away a blocker. Whenever Shu Yun attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. Octopus Umbra. I never really got to play with the Umbras when they initially came out, so I managed to get the Octopus Umbra. And being able to raise Shu Yun's base stats from 3/2 to 8/8. And being able to tap down creatures of power 8 or less and have totem armor. This does a lot. Yes, it's 5 mana. It's a little outside the ideal curve, but honestly, this is so good, and it has won me a game, so I can't say it's a bad card. Pursuit of Flight, being able to give Shu Yun +2/+2, and the ability to fly by paying an additional blue whenever we need the flying. Ristic Study. I only have the one copy of Ristic Study. I only ever had the one copy of Ristic Study, and it is still in this build. Sentinel's Eyes, a great enchantment coming out of Taros. Being able to give, for 1 white mana, to give Shu Yun +1/+1 Vigilance, and the fact that we can cast this from our graveyard. A Shu Yun deck can run out of ammunition if he's removed a couple of times, so having the ability to bring this back later in the game if need be is pretty sweet. Tenali's Crown, another way to give our commander Trample. +3/+0 and Trample for just 2 mana. Yes, it'll deal 1 damage to Shu Yun, but the double strike will make sure he does not fall in combat in spite of that damage. Volcanic Strength for our opposing red players. Give Shu Yun +2/+2 and Mountain Walk. And Whirlwind of Thought pulled this one recently. And you know what? I figured I'd slot it in. It's a little bit slow for our build perhaps. But by that same token, we do have 3 opponents. So after we knock out our first opponent, Whirlwind of Thought will make sure to keep our hand full for us. Moving on to Instants, here's a classic I didn't have in the original deck list, Bloodlust. The wording, of course, is kind of weird, but essentially we're giving... let's go for the original text. The original text actually makes a lot of sense. It is, target creature gets +4/+0, +4 -4 until end of turn, but their toughness cannot be reduced to less than 1. So basically it's +4 power at instant speed for our commander. Brute Force for the +3/+3. Disenchant, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Staple card, of course. And enchantment removal effects, now that Oubliette has been reworded and fixed to read the way it does, and is now readily available in Double Masters. Oubliette has a way to completely shut down our commander, and we do not tolerate this. So we do play some enchantment removal in the deck. Specifically, I mean, it's still great against other cards such as Propaganda, such as other people's Ristic Studies, such as Smothering Tide. But our primary target, if somebody is playing black, is Oubliette. Dovin's Veto. This spell can't be countered and counter target non-creature spell. What's nice about this is a counter spell in white, so our Sunforger can get this, and this cannot be countered. Fierce Guardianship. No mana, no problem. Obviously, this is the jackpot card from Commander 2020, but this is a card that is super vital in our deck, keeping Shu Yun on the table. Fist of the Anvil, plain and simple, +4/+0 at instant speed. Frantic Search, draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, untap up to 3 lands, so this can give us a prowess trigger and help us filter through the deck a little bit. Fumble. I don't recall if this was in the original list or not. I don't believe it was. But again, this is one of those cards that sneakily got me a knockout. I didn't win the game with this, but I did knock out an opponent that was playing a bunch of equipment. So how this works, of course, return target creature to its owner's hand and gain control of all auras and equipment that were attached to it, then attach it to another creature. So, Tuvaso, watch out for Fumble. Invigorated Rampage coming in from Kaladesh. This is a card I missed on my initial build, because Kaladesh was already out, of course, but I didn't see this one. For 2 mana, target creature gets +4/+0 and gains trample until end of turn, or 2 target creatures get 2/0 and gain trample until end of turn. And again, this is a card that has some real neat political advantages, as well as being able to buff our own commander. Light of Hope coming in from Ikoria, another way to destroy enchantments. It can also gain us some life if we need to sneakily gain just enough life to hang in there. Also throw a +1/+1 counter on our Shu Yun. Path to Exile, excellent piece of removal, of course. Rapid Hybridization, destroys any creature. Yes, they get a 3/3 frog, but worth it. Reality Shift, same deal. Exiles target creature. Its controller gets to manifest the top card of their library. And honestly, this card has not bitten me in the ass yet. Pardon the language, but that's the plain English of it. This card has not come back to haunt me in any way, shape, or form. Like, I haven't reality shifted something only for my opponent to end up being able to turn over a infect creature randomly. Right down, believe it or not, to this day I still haven't cast this card. It's in the deck, and it's not like I could never cast it, I just never have it in my hand when I want to cast it. It just kind of happened that way. But it's still in the deck. It is still a great way to clear through it, to clear out a blocker, give Shu Yun trample, and get in for the damage. Run amok, +3/+3, and trample. Stubborn Denial, great little counter spell for 1 mana. Counter a non-creature spell unless its controller pays 1. Actually, you know what? Our commander will be ferocious. If you control a creature of power 4 or greater, counter the spell instead. Swords to Plowshares, of course, exiles a creature. And Think Twice, nice little card draw effect that we can flash back. Vanish into Memory. Something happens that would cause us to lose our commander. We can cast Vanish into Memory and draw a bunch of cards. We draw cards equal to that creature's power. And then if Shu Yun comes back into play through Vanish into Memory, yeah, we'll have to discard 2 cards, but we'd have drawn far more. Alternatively, we can exile a token permanently with this thing and draw a bunch of cards. Alternatively, we can exile our opponent's key blocker, draw a bunch of cards, knock them out, and then we don't have to discard anything. And Wear and Tear, again, destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment. You get 2 targets for 3 mana. Running 36 lands. Lots of love for the Pain lands, as we all well know. So Adokar Waste is here, as is Battlefield Forge. Boros Garrison, the only one of these Kiru bounce lands, for the same logic as the Boros Signet. The Garrison taps for the exact mana that we need to activate our commander's double strike trigger. So that is why I play it, but not the others. Cathedral of War, having Exalted on a land when we're only ever going to attack with 1 creature, makes perfect sense to me. City of Brass, a great way to tap for any mana. Yes, it deals damage to us, but we're going for a fast game. Command Tower, again, taps for any of our colors. I am running all of the legendary lands from OG Kamigawa that fit here. So, Iganjo Castle prevents 2 damage that would be dealt to a legendary creature this turn. Could protect our commander. Evolving Wilds is here, of course, to pull out one of our basics, as is Fabled Passage. Field of Ruin destroys a non-basic land, running it specifically to target things like, say, Maze of If, especially since that just got a reprint. Hallowed Fountain, now that I've got a few more shock lands in my inventory, I'm running those here as well. Running 5 islands. Manamo, Skull at Water's Edge, lets us untap our Shu Yun in case we need an emergency block. 5 mountains, 1 Mystic Monastery, it taps for all our colors. I guess it comes into play tapped, but we can deal with that. 5 plains, the new Triome, Ralgrin Triome, taps for all of our Jeskai colors, and we can cycle it away if we don't need it. The Rogue's Passage, a way to grant unblockability. Sacred Foundry, of course, another one of our shocks. Shinka, the Blood-Soaked Keep. If for whatever reason I don't have cards in hand, I can at least still give them first strike with this. Shivan Reef, of course, taps for our blue or red. Steam Vents, same deal, taps for blue or red. Strip Mine. Again, Maze of If is the enemy. Maze of If, and we also want to get rid of, Glacial Chasm. That's another one that can defend our opponents from our commander. Strip Mine. And Terramorphic Expanse, again, to pull one of our basics from our deck. 9 sorceries, including a survivor from the original list. Artful Dodge. 1 blue gives our commander unblockable until the end of turn, and we can flash it back for 1 blue. So we get 2 uses of this. Dismantling Wave is a new addition. For each opponent, destroy up to 1 artifact or enchantment that player controls. Or that big cycling if the game goes super long. Generally, if we have to use the cycling ability, it means something's gone wrong with our game plan. So honestly, we're never going to cycle this card. We're always going to cast it when we can. Sleep, another great way if someone's got a little army, cast Sleep. All of a sudden, they have no way of stopping our Shu Yun. Slip through space, another way to grant unblockability, and this one draws us a card too. Stealth Mission, grants unblockability, and puts 2+1/+1 counters on our commander. This was a very easy card to add in once War of the Spark came out. Daigim Strike, +2/0, can't be blocked and has Rebound. This one I do admit is on the cusp. If we get another boost unblockable spell that's cheaper than this, it's probably the next card to go. But I like the fact that we could use this twice, and that's kind of why it's stuck around there, albeit barely. Tariff. This is a way of knocking out our opponent's most powerful creatures, or at least their most expensive ones. As it says here, each player chooses the creature of the highest converted mana cost they control, then pays mana equal to the cost or sacrifices that creature. Shu Yun only costs 3. So even if I have Shu Yun out, 2 to cast Tariff, 3 to pay for the cost, that's fine for us. We still have our best creature. Our opponents likely do not. Temporal Mastery, especially if we hit the Miracle on this one, lets us take the extra turn for only 2 mana. That's what it's here for. Treasure Crew is a great way to refill our hands in the mid-game. Like once we've knocked out our first 1 or 2 opponents, we're down to our last opponent. Great way to refill for the cheap. And that, my friends, is the 2020 edition of Shu Yun. Again, it went from a card that was, this is too awkward. That's so weird, the double red, double white, or whatever. That's so weird. It's so awkward to play. That was then. Now, people see Shu Yun and they're like, uh-oh. Because he is a scary presence. He can end someone's night early. Or he can end everybody's night early and then we can shuffle up and play again. Either way. Always a fun commander. One of the most fun Voltron commanders out there, in my opinion. And, like I said, 4 years later, 5 years later, I still run Shu Yun. It's just that much fun to play. So yeah, that is going to be it for me tonight. Going to get deep into the brewing and to the reading. So the next 3 decks, I know what my next 3 decks are. But I have a lot of work to do to make them the decks I want them to be, shall we say. So I'll let you know what's coming. On one of the Facebook groups that I'm a part of for Commander, somebody was building a Hezezan Tamar deck with a Dune theme to it. And I'm taking the idea a step further. I am going to be building 3 decks based off of Dune, because that novel and that series is so deep and so rich. So I'm building 3 decks. 1 for House Atreides, 1 for House Carino, and 1 for House Harkonnen. If you're a fan of Dune, you know exactly what I'm talking about and why these 3 houses are, well, they're the major players in all of the books. So I've got a lot of work to do to make all 3 of these decks possible. 1 commander was very easy to pick out, the other 2 not so much. But so far I've picked out all 3 of my commanders for this project. And the next 3 decks will be all about that project. I probably won't do any more videos until all 3 are ready, and then hopefully I can get them all knocked out in 1 recording session. That'd be pretty sweet. So with that in mind, it's late, the wife's already in bed, family's already in bed, so with that in mind, it is time for bed. So say we all. Good night.